football. The 49ers definitely had an interesting thing with Debo's contract situation. They finally resolved that. Pretty much in this closing press conference, Jimmy G said, "Goodbye, guys." But because of an injury, he hasn't been traded yet. He's still there. I'm not exactly sure what he's been doing at camp. I think he just kind of throws some passes on his own on the sideline or something. But
he probably just mumbles to himself, "I need to get the hell out of here."
Probably. He's just like, all right, come on now. Let someone trade for me. I want a new team. He's ready for the fresh start. And the 49ers are ready for a fresh start as well with Trey Lance, I believe. Trey Lance obviously has all the tools in the world, but he is still inexperienced and a bit raw. He's definitely a huge question mark for this team.
Yeah, I think with all the changes they have going on, like they have a solid roster, but they lost Mike McDaniel, who was a run game coordinator, and a big reason why Debo had a huge year last year. And then switching over to Trey Lance, if he doesn't, like they're gonna almost need him to put up 300 yards and 3 or 4 touchdowns. Like that's a little unfair to ask of a guy like not quite ready yet. Elijah Mitchell, he balled last year, but
Yeah.
was it because of Mike McDaniel's plan, or is Kyle Shanahan the reason why they were so good?
Now, see, another thing I want to add to the equation here is the 49ers had absolute maulers on the offensive line. Like Trent Williams, even though he's
Still
getting
the
up, I
best in
think
the NFL
34 years
after
old,
this.
best in the NFL. Like,
Yeah,
and they had one of the best right tackles in the NFL as
Mike
well. Like,
McGlinchey.
yeah, they are so strong in the offensive line. They lost a couple people this off season, but like they weren't huge losses, and they seem pretty confident in replacements. And honestly, like I think McDaniel had his own twist to the run game, but strong run games seem to follow the Shanahan family wherever they go. So
Yeah.
I think running the ball will still be their main way of attack, but it'll be Trey Lance hitting the big plays with Debo, with Brandon Ayuk, who's not in the doghouse this year after he was for most of last year. George Kittle,
He's looked good in camp.
George Kittle, obviously a tight end. He's a stud. And another person who's looked good in camp, third round rookie Danny Gray. He's looked like he could make a huge impact in this offense. Maybe
Yeah, right now Jawan Jennings is getting the nod over Gray, but I don't see that happening for very long. Gray's been balling out.
Yeah, not for long. He had a good performance, not preseason games or preseason games, but he had a good performance in the preseason game too. Seems like him and Lance work well together.
Yeah. Defensively though, defensive line they're solid. They did just get a good second rounder, Drake Jackson, but I haven't heard much of him in camp. But Nick Bosa and Fred Warner are the best some of the best defensive players in the NFL. Like
Absolutely.
they got some people on this defense, but linebackers outside of Warner, they're pretty thin. Um, and then safety, Jimmy Ward is going to be out for week 1, possibly a couple weeks after that. But they did get Travarius Ward.
Yeah, that was a
So that's a
huge addition, I
huge,
feel like, in the
yeah.
secondary.
But man, they got some work to do.
Yeah. I do think they need to figure out what's going on with the pass rush because, like, Nick Bosa obviously was as good as he was, but nobody
He got hurt
outside
a
of him
lot.
could really get pressure on the quarterback last year. And he was actually recovering from a torn ACL last year too. So honestly, putting up 15 and a half sacks in that situation is pretty impressive. But they need someone else to step up besides him. Fred Warner, I'll just go ahead and say he's the best linebacker in the NFL right now. So he'll be a stud in the middle. There's definitely a lot of talent on this defense. Jason Verrett in the secondary is another guy that needs to stay healthy. But certainly overall, I feel like this team is still going to make the playoffs this year and is
Or at least
still
be
a
in
contender for
contention.
this division.
NFC's kind of thin, but they're like top heavy, so it's like
Right.
all the wild card teams could be anybody.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Well, maybe
And I
not
mean, this
the
is
Bears, but
the most loaded division in the NFC for sure.
yeah,
And but at the same time, most interesting thing is they all have to play each other, and they have to play the AFC West, which is a loaded division. So
yeah.
that'll be very interesting to see as the year goes on. At the very least, to get the NFC South to kind of lessen the blow. Football.